What's going on, guys? We got a good one here today. SaaS revenue forecast. It's a nightmare for so many people. If you're in accounting or I guess the finance department or CFO and you have a SaaS company and you're trying to figure out, it could be a startup that just started a couple months ago or a ongoing operation for a couple years, up to 5 years and or more. And you want to know based on your historical customers that you have and when they were added, how much revenue are they going to produce in the next, I did up to 60 months a forecast out. How much revenue are they going to produce over the next 5 years? And then based on the customers you plan to add that are new, what's their revenue look like? And what's it all look like together? And what's the customer counts look like? So that's what this template focuses on, very strict focus. Before I get into exactly how this works and how to use it, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, check out smarthelping.com for all templates. To purchase this template specifically that I'm going over now, it'll be a link in the description box below, and it'll be $45 one-time fee. So and I did put an instruction tab together, so you follow this will get you started. And this video will be linked here when I'm done with it. Let's start with the inputs for each customer tier that you have. So I did up to 4 customer tiers, which should fit about 90% of SaaS businesses. They probably don't have more than 4. And remember, if you've been watching the making of this over the last couple live streams, this works for if everything is month to month. In other words, a contract is just 1 month, or if they vary in length. And so you could have, this contract is 12 months, this is 1, so let's say this is 12 and this is 1. These are 2 different types with paying 12 months or 1 month. All that means is that the renewal period, the renewal happens every 12 months, and that's going to be all factored into the expected future revenue of existing customers based on when they join, when their renewal periods are going to come up. And then also you enter contract length, you enter retention rate of the contract period. So if it's 1 month, you say 90%, that's saying every month, you're going to lose 10% of whatever the original customers that were added in that month were. So if it was 100, then every month you're losing 10. And that's how that deteriorates. If it's a contract length of 6 months, then you're saying every 6 months you lose 10%. And so that's all dynamic. You can update these as needed. And then finally, the average monthly value per contract, which is going to be the revenue. If we move, so that's all you got to input there. So I try to make this as simple as possible and easy for literally any SaaS business to use. So you enter those inputs, and then you go over, and I explain this in the instructions as well. To enter all your existing customers for each tier, we've got existing 1, 2, 3, and 4. All the logic is the same, but what will be different is you're going to enter the customers that you acquired in the last X amount of months, however many you have. So here this just says over the last 24 months, we had 878, 247, 799, and so on. Just random numbers here. And then every time you go to update this, your historical customer count's not going to change. So all you do, let's say we did a rolling forecast in November for the next 12 months. And let's say now, and let's say we're in December and we wanted to do the next 12 months, including December, because you don't know what December still is over. And now we go to January. And so now we got to add December's actuals in. You would just simply go copy, paste 1 month back, and then put in your December figure here in the most recent month. And that's it. And so the pain point here is extreme. For how hard people have it with doing these forecasts. I felt like that was the best and easiest way and least difficult way to do your rolling forecast in a way where you can keep track of when your customers you've had in the past are likely to, what's their revenue outlook based on the specific cohort. And there's no other way that I found that makes sense to get the most accurate forecast of existing customers other than tracking when they join, what the retention rate is, and then you just do that evenly forward, and then you can see when we get to the forward if there's still the cohort still has remaining customers. It would forecast that here. You could manually go in. I mean, because the structures are here, you can manually go in and input what you think the customer counts are going to be over time if you want to override the formulas. The formulas are there to take advantage of this simple input, but the structure is here to do it however you really want. And then this is going to be aggregated to figure out, future customer counts, and then based on average revenue per month per contract, what that revenue looks like. So lots of pain points here. I feel like this is solving a lot. And to update it, you simply, every time you do a new forecast, just make sure your last X amount of months have the right amount of customers added each month, whatever that might be. That's really it. And then for the future, you can just put in your expected future customers in 1 through 60, and that's your forecast for that for each tier. And all the logic here, I had to build some matrices to make all this work right, and it's all smooth. Validation is used for retention per contract period, and that all flows through each of these logic tabs. So that's it, and I feel like that's simple enough where you can understand it, but it's got the granularity and complexity that's required to make this make sense. And when you're going in here and entering retention rates, you're going to have to take your own data, or if you don't have much, or like a couple months, try to get an industry average or something, and input it here based on what makes the most sense for your situation. Because obviously in the existing customer accounts, like if we go back here to one of these months, let's say 878 joined, and how many were left in each of these months. But it's very difficult to go in there and manually input all this for each one and update it every single month. So that's why you just have an average retention. So you would look at your contracts and figure out, well, on average, how many are left from every time there's a contract renewal for the whole entire customer tier. And then that's how we get to the future. Now, if you have customers that joined more than 5 years ago, what you're going to have to do is you can literally enter your historicals here. So let's say you have all 5 years are filled out. And then you could put in the most recent month the rest of the customers that joined more than 5 years ago, and then you're going to have to make sure your average retention rate is somewhere that makes sense for how much of those customers are left over time. So let's say you have 20,000 customers that joined more than 5 years ago. You'd put, let's say, 20,000. You could put that in here. Let's format this. And it would just say, okay, 20,000, and you just mark how, based on the contract renewals, how often they happen, you just say how much of that cohort do you think is going to be left over time. So there's plenty of room to work around things here if you have customers over 5 years. In the summary, you can see we have the existing revenue based on existing customers, the future 60-month revenue for each tier, future 60-month revenue for each new customer added per tier, consolidated for each tier, meaning new and existing, and then all the customer counts for those as well. To make it more digestible, we got visuals. So forecasted revenue by type, forecasted customers by type, forecasted revenue by type stacked. You see the existing customers go down, new customers are obviously going up based on when they're added. Forecasted revenue in total, forecasted customers in total, forecasted revenue by type stacked, forecasted revenue by, this is forecasted customers by type, stacked. And that's all we got for you. So I'm hoping this will solve a lot of problems for a lot of people. I don't know how many of these I've done, where people say, well, I want to do a rolling revenue forecast for SaaS. And usually a regular financial model that does SaaS, like a 5-year forecast, is not going to have this specific logic and structure to do it like every month. It's where you say, okay, I want to like raise some money, or want to show investors, here's what I think we're going to do over the next 5 years. But those are not And what happens, people try to use those to make rolling forecasts, and that's where things get messy. So I feel like this is a better template to do rolling things over time if you're going to be using it like every month or every quarter, or however. And this has a nice structures here. All right, that's all I got for you. Check out smarthelping.com. I'll see you on the next one.